Hello everybody. What if I tell you that India is a flawed democracy? India is not among one of the best democracies such as Norway, UK, USA, New Zealand. In fact, India's democracy is almost compared to Russia or China's democracy. It is criticized for issues like corruption and money laundering. However, despite that fact, it still remains the world's largest democracy. Well, these are not my own words. This is what the VDEM report has to say. Now, many of you might be wondering what the VDEM report actually is. So, VDEM is a prominent Swedish institute or an organization that basically measures levels of democracy in different countries. So, what's really happening with the world's largest democracy? We'll come to know in today's video. But let me first ask you a question. What is a perfect democracy? Or to specify, what is a perfect government according to you? Well, according to me, a perfect government is a government in which the elections that are conducted, they are free and fair. There is no biasness and everyone gets equal chance to contest in the elections. This is the actual definition of democracy. Elections that are conducted in a free and fair way, those kind of elections or which in which the countries fall, that is basically a democracy. Now, many of you will tell me that India is a democracy. Well, I never denied that India is not a democracy. Elections are still conducted in India in a proper way. Many of you will feel that in India, elections are conducted in a very free and a very fair way, and we are able to choose our own democracy, and everything is going the way it should be. But let me take you through some events. Since the last few months, there have been many incidents that prove that the democracy is slowly fading away from India. There are a few things that are hidden from us, the common people. Not to mention, India is slowly leading towards dictatorship. It's high time that the government should be aware of what's happening in our country. There are a few things that the government is doing right, but there are a few things that the government is doing wrong as well. Hence, I feel that it is important that everyone must be aware of the current political issues. Everyone must be updated about what's happening in our country. So, before you give a vote in this upcoming election, you have to stay updated about what's happening in our country so that you can take wise decisions. Now, do you know that which country has the best democracy? Many of you will think of some mega big countries like the USA. But the correct answer is quite interesting. Norway has the best democracy in the world. Surprised, right? In today's video, we will also do a comparison between India's democracy and Norway's democracy and look where India has to become better at. In today's video, I am going to take you through all the scams and mistakes done by the government in the recent times. Also, we will be delving deeper into the VDEM report, and not just VDEM, we will be going through a few other reports of a few other institutions that rate the democracies of different countries. Also, we will know that what is the reputation of India's democracy to the rest of the world. Now, democracy works in a country where elections conducted are free and fair. I hope all of you know that. Democracy works in a country when no higher or no apex authority can tamper with the people's vote or bring a sudden change in the way elections are conducted. But what if I tell you that votes were actually tampered in the recent elections? This is how the story goes. See, in February 2024, the Chandigarh mayoral elections happened. In this, Chandigarh had to select its own mayor. So, elections happened for that. However, BJP member Anil Masi was responsible for conducting this Chandigarh mayoral elections. Now, when these elections got over of the mayoral elections, this guy, what did this guy do? He put a cross mark on a few ballot papers. Now, doesn't this seem a little fishy? These ballot papers were not invalid. They were absolutely valid ballot papers. The only problem was that these ballot papers did not vote for BJP. So, as a result, what did this BJP member do? He put a cross mark on the ballot papers that were not getting votes for the BJP. Now, you understand the connection? BJP member and manipulating the elections? You get the point now. Guess what? Here is the good news. He was unknowingly caught on CCTV camera while doing these actions. Kuldeep Kumar, who was another mayoral candidate from AAP party who was contesting as a mayor in these elections, he filed a petition against him at the Supreme Court. All thanks to the Supreme Court that it said that it will not allow democracy to get murdered like this. The Supreme Court finally ordered proceedings against him. So yeah, he is going under proceedings and trials right now. Now, is this really free and fair elections? Think about it. Is this really the way elections should be conducted in the world's largest democracy? Share your views in the comment box below. Now, what do you think should have happened? Re-elections should have taken place and elections should have been conducted again? But surprise! Even while knowing that this was a completely unjust and a fair elections, no mayoral elections happened in Chandigarh again. These elections were obviously won by BJP member Manoj Sonkar. Now here is the twist. On 30th January, a few days after these elections got over, AAP member and MP Raghav Chada said that in the Chandigarh mayoral elections, actually AAP had won these elections. AAP, Aam Aadmi Party, had got 20 votes, but BJP had only got 16 votes. Yet, BJP member Manoj Sonkar was announced as a mayor. Now, I am happy with the Supreme Court's decision that it allowed to take proceedings against Anil Masi. But at the same time, I am also angry with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court should have ordered re-elections in Chandigarh. Don't you think? We cannot really allow democracy to get murdered like this. We cannot allow the government to play a game with us common people. Moving on to the electoral bond scam, which I've already talked about in my previous video, so you can check out that. I will not go much deeper into this topic, but in short, let me tell you what happened. The government had been lying to us that at the time of political funding, our identity would remain anonymous. That means no political party will know who gave how much money to which political party. Okay, this was what the government said to us. However, on the electoral bond paper, there was a secret alphanumeric code that was written on the top corner of the electoral bond paper, and every electoral bond had a unique code that could only be seen under UV rays. So actually, our identity was not anonymous, and the government had been lying to us. Also, another shocking news is that the bank accounts of INC, Indian National Congress, has been frozen virtually and it has been sealed temporarily. Their accounts were frozen last month due to a pending case from 2018 to 2019 elections. This is fair. However, a few days ago, it got another notice from tax authorities that dates back to their filings from the 1995 to 1996 elections. Can you see the level of hypocrisy used by the government in order to conduct elections? I feel that all parties are contesting for elections and every party should have equal rights to contest for elections. I believe that the election commission here should play a very unbiased game. Here the Supreme Court is very biased to some political parties. The election commission should ensure that all political parties get equal chance to campaign the elections. No party should get higher benefits, higher advantages from other political parties. Now, let us do a comparison between Norway and India's democracy. Now, when we talk about Norway, the elections are extremely free and fair. Political advertising is regulated so that the people are aware of the various political parties and their representatives. And the media is not biased or it is not sold to any political party. Quite contrast to what happens in India. Tell me the last time the Indian media companies told you about the Hasdeo forest. Do you know what is happening there? Any of you might not know. In 2024, the Hasdeo forest in Chhattisgarh, in India, it is experiencing many protests for the Hasdeo forest. What actually happened was that the Hasdeo forest, it's known for its scenic beauty. However, all the trees there in that forest are being uprooted for coal mining and other mining activities. This has led to many protests and concerns about the flora and fauna of that area. Tell me the last time you saw Indian media covering Leh Ladakh issue and the government is not actually fulfilling the people's demand. The government is literally ignoring that issue. Almost 10% of Ladakh is on the streets. It is protesting. Tell me the last time you saw any Indian media company covering this issue. However, in India, the current ruling government is not allowing INC, Indian National Congress, to publish its ads anywhere, be it newspapers. Another thing is lobbying. Now, lobbying does not happen in Norway. Now, do you know what's lobbying? Lobbying is basically legalized corruption. In this, companies pay illegal political fundings to political party in order to gain its attention. Basically, companies give a lot of money to political parties so that political party can pass judgments and opinions in the favor of that company. By the way, lobbying also happens in the USA, despite being one of the best democracies. In fact, according to the official website of PepsiCo company, it has spent around $3.6 million for lobbying related activities. And if we talk about the electoral bond scam, it was definitely some kind of illegal political funding. Next is future prospect. All parties fulfill their list in the manifesto. That means what they have promised is what they will do once they come into power. However, in India, the Indian government had promised that Ladakh will be under the sixth schedule of the constitution in their 2018 elections. However, the government did not do it at all. This has led to protests almost since a year, and these protests have increased significantly since the last few months. Famous engineer, innovator, and educator Sonam Wangchuk, who hails from Ladakh, is currently on a fast till death. But the government is not responding at all. There was once a time when Sonam Wangchuk used to literally praise the government, especially for abrogating Article 370. But now the same Sonam Wangchuk is against the government. The Ladakhis are demanding the sixth schedule for the Indian constitution. Now, what is the sixth schedule? It is basically, the sixth schedule in the constitution, it basically has provisions related to the administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. Not just that, the people are also demanding full statehood for Ladakh. Ladakh is a union territory, and people are demanding that Ladakh should be a separate state altogether. And also, Ladakh is demanding its separate state public service commission for better employment of people. However, there is no response from the government. Okay, now enough of blaming the government. Now, do you remember the VDM report I was talking at the start of the video? You must be thinking that now this VDM is some kind of biased report by some random institute that cannot be believed. VDEM's democracy report is a collaborative project involving 4,200 scholars from 180 countries and is based on 31 million data sets that cover 202 countries from 1789 to 2023. So obviously it holds some kind of importance. We cannot just take it randomly. Apart from this, other democracy measuring institutes haven't said anything good about India's democracy. Freedom House says that India is only partly free, and not to mention is under a dictatorial government. The Economist Intelligence Unit says that India is a flawed democracy. Large countries with large population and large economies such as India, Mexico, Philippines, Pakistan, Turkey, all of them have declined significantly on democracy. The Freedom Report categorizes countries into four types based on their score in the Liberal Democratic Index. So these are the four main classifications: liberal democracy, electoral autocracy, and closed autocracy. The Indian government, the democracy in India has been labeled as an electoral autocracy. However, the Indian government has refused all these statements. It plans to make its own democracy index, which, according to Al Jazeera, will help cover up its bad reputation in front of other countries. And according to such renowned institutes, our democracy is actually in danger. Our democracy is in peril. Under the Broadcasting Services Regulation Bill 2024, new IT rules are being planned to get implemented. Basically, people who run a YouTube channel, a WhatsApp channel, or have a Facebook or an Insta account, all of them will be classified as broadcasters. Every broadcaster in India will have to register with the government, and the government has a central evaluation committee that will have a lot of powers when it comes to posting any kind of content on social media. So, broadcasters can only send their videos, messages, or their posts by approving their specific post from the central evaluation committee. They will have to, the government will have the power to seize any YouTuber's equipment without prior notice. And obviously, this central evaluation committee will again be very biased because it's appointed by the government. This proves that freedom of speech is actually being taken away from Indians. You tell me, is this really freedom of speech? We, the people of India, cannot even raise questions against the government despite being citizens of our own country. However, see, there are always two sides of the coin. Despite many flaws, I can say that India also has some positive sides as well. See, the first positive point I would like to mention about the Indian democracy is that it has given a chance for so many poor people to participate in national governance. If we talk about our current Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, the Indian democracy even allowed people of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, backward classes, and people from the tribal areas to be a part of public governance. If we take the most recent example, a president, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu, is the first woman president from the Indian tribals. So there is so the government really deserves a big round of applause for this. And women participation also has drastically increased since 2010, and over the years it has spiked to a large extent. The Indian National Congress has increased women's participation by instituting a 33% quota for women in all levels of party. In June 2009, the INC nominated a woman to become the first Speaker of Lok Sabha and also supported the election of Pratibha Patil, India's first female president. In 2014, when the BJP first came into power, India was the 10th largest economy. But now, if we look at 2024, India is the 5th largest economy. Also, estimates have revealed that India can surpass many big countries like USA, Germany, and Japan and become the second largest economy after China. But revealing the good side of the government is not going to suppress the bad side of it. See, when the government took right decisions, I was always in favor of the right decision. For example, if when the government it implemented UCC in Uttarakhand, I was absolutely in favor of it. However, if I feel that something is wrong, then I have the right to express it on social media or be it any platform. So, I have explained you the bad side as well as the good side of the Indian democracy. See, even USA's democracy is not perfect. USA's democracy in USA, lobbying does happen there. So, lobbying is some kind of corruption also, to be frank. So, if each one of you watching this video talks about these issues to your family and friends, if every one of you spreads the information I give to you to all the people you know, it will surely create a big difference. Because if we are truly a democracy, the power lies within us. We will have the power to choose the right government. We will have the power to support or be against the government's decisions. But for that, all citizens of India must vote in the upcoming elections. See, today is 19th and today is the first day of election. I hope that each one of you votes in this election. It's a humble request for you. See, a soul silent voice cannot be heard. But if we, the 141 crore people of India, shout together, our voice will surely be heard. If you find flaws in the democracy, go and vote. See, I'm not 18, so I cannot vote. The least I can do is tell you what's happening in India. So, if you are watching this video as an adult, as a legal citizen or and a legal voter of India, please take wise decisions for the government. If you are a legal voter of India, you have to vote this time because we are going to shape the government. We will be responsible for our own future and the generations ahead. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.